many parents, they're unsure what the future holds with their kids' education. Are they going to go back to school? Is distant learning going to be the new normal? So today we get to talk to Troy Flint, Chief Information Officer for California School Boards Association. I know you're going to explain to us when and how schools plan to reopen in the fall. So Troy, as a parent of a 13-year-old, I have so many questions for you because it really is so hard to kind of navigate. How are you holding up?
I'm holding up well. We're really just concerned about students, staff, and families and how we can get them back to school in a safe and effective manner. Right now, there's a lack of clarity, a lot of uncertainty, and we're trying to do everything that we can to make sure that every school district has a plan. But it's very tough going right now. There's no way you can sugarcoat it.
Yeah, because I know you're worried about resources that schools have. And the big question we all want to know, do you actually think kids can go back to school August safely?
Right now, based on the resources that schools have and the lack of full understanding about the virus and the lack of clarity in terms of the guidance from the state, in terms of what the actual requirements are, not just recommendations or suggestions, but requirements. Unfortunately, no, many schools will not have the ability to send students and staff back on campus in a safe and effective manner. There's a lot of variance according to the situation at the local level, but right now there is not universal certainty about the resources that are in place to make sure that kids can go to school safely and effectively.
Yeah, because my son's school sent an email saying they're not sure if kids will go back to school, if we'll do 50-50. But the next big question we want to know, do you think it will actually work this fall in person?
We survey our members, which are almost every school district in the state of California. And the vast majority of those school districts are contemplating some sort of hybrid model. Now, that can take on various different forms, but some of the different configurations that schools are considering are models where half the students go to school, say Monday, Tuesday, the other half of the student body goes Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday, perhaps all students learn from home. So there's some combination of on-campus instruction as well as distance learning. But that carries with it its own problems because distance learning is far from seamless, and many homes do not have the correct infrastructure in terms of broadband access or the computers needed to make distance learning effective. So there's no easy solution to the problems that districts are facing.
Yeah, as a parent, it is hard, too, to be patient with your child. And some of the material, I'm not going to lie, is really hard, to kind of navigate your child through the lesson. So in a perfect world, what would schools need to reopen this fall?
One, schools need more clarity from the state. Now, the state has done a good job of issuing guidance, but they present a number of options without clear direction on what they think is the best for schools and can increase safety for students and staff. Secondly, schools require substantially more resources. California schools were already underfunded pre-COVID. Before the pandemic, California schools were struggling and ranked just 38th out of the 50 states in per pupil funding. Since the pandemic hit, schools have acquired significant new additional costs. One school district, Los Angeles Unified, estimates those costs at about $400 per student. And now going forward, there's some estimates that have come out from national researchers which say the average school district will incur about an additional $1.8 million dollars per year in cost to come back to school in 2021. Now, the average school district has fewer than 4,000 students and only 8 schools. So you look at a district like Sacramento, which is much larger than that, has about 12 or 13 times that many students. You multiply that $1.8 million figure, and you're talking about another $25 million in additional costs in order to get students back on campus safely. A district that's already struggling certainly doesn't have that money, and it's not forthcoming from the state. In fact, the governor's budget proposes deep cuts to education. So at a time when we should be substantially increasing in order to guard what's most important, the safety of our students, staff, and communities, we're actually cutting schools and increasing funding to prisons. That shows a real lack of priorities and misplaced values on the part of this.
Well, Troy, I have to say, I know your job is so hard. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing to make sure our children are safe. I'm going to have to ask you a lot of questions offline so that we can kind of figure this all out together. But thank you so much for your time.
This interview involves commercial content. The products and services featured appear as paid advertising.